Welcome to the Happiness Podcast. I'm Dr. Robert Puff. I don't know if you can relate to this, but I think a lot of people wake up in the morning, get on their phones, check out how the world is doing and think, wow, what a mess. Nowadays, I think that's a very common experience for lots of people. We may be concerned about world hunger, inflation, global warming, homelessness, drug abuse. Sometimes it's personal. We may know someone who's struggling with a drug addiction and afraid we're going to get that call someday that they've had an overdose. We may watch the news about people on fixed income. They're having a hard time paying their rent and getting by, and perhaps facing homelessness. We may have strong political or religious beliefs, and when we watch what the world is doing against our beliefs, it infuriates us. There's a lot in the world that can cause us a lot of emotional struggles and stress. So in today's talk, I want to explore what we can do to make this better so we don't have so much stressors and wakeless nights worrying about what's happening in our world or in our own lives. There's a story I heard long ago. I'm not sure who said it, but it's a beautiful story about this, how to change our world. It's about a man who discovers that there are many things in the world that he can step on. There are thorns, there are rocks, there are sharp objects, and if he steps on them, they'll cut his feet. So what he decides to do is cover the entire world with leather so that his feet won't get injured. That's how he's going to solve this problem in his world. Then he thinks about it and he says, maybe instead what I should do is make leather shoes to protect my feet, instead of covering the whole world with leather. Now you may be thinking, that's a very silly story. But is it? Is it that different from what we struggle with when we think about how we're going to change our world? I think we can all agree that there are a lot of things in this world that we can be worried about, that we can be distressed over, that can truly keep us up at night. And I also don't think it's uncommon for our tendency to want to solve these problems, to want to fix the world's problems so that our world can be a better place to live in. And mind you, wanting to make our world a better place for all of us to live in is admirable, is beautiful, is truly wonderful. And I think this is a fair statement to make, that the people that truly do make the biggest impact in our world, that we look back on and say, what a beautiful soul, are people that do that really try on a global level or at least a regional level to make a huge difference in the suffering in our world. I mean, think of Martin Luther King or Mahatma Gandhi or Mother Teresa. I mean, they are the saints of all saints, and most of us look up to them with great admiration and truly divine wonder. But even they, at the level that they were at, yes, they made an impact. They made a significant impact on changing our world. But have the problems that they were fighting gone away? Is there no more prejudice in our world anymore? Is there no more hunger? Is there no more strife? Even with all that they did, these problems persist. And this is in no way to discredit what they did. They are magnificent, marvelous human beings that we should look to for inspiration and to say, thank you for all that you did for our planet Earth and making it a better place for all of us to live in, because they did make a difference and they do make a difference. But at the same time, the problems persist. So how do we, as individuals trying to make our world a better place, find peace and equanimity in our hearts while at the same time improving our world? I believe it's possible as long as we have a few things in place to help us navigate this course of making our world a better place, but keeping our hearts in a good place at the same time. The first thing I think that is important for us to acknowledge is that the things that we don't like in our world, that we want to change, will probably be there for the rest of our lives. And if we take that approach, even though it sounds hopeless, it really isn't, because what it does is It helps us keep realistic expectations on the amount of change that we can make. We will make changes. We will do things to make our world a better place, with the understanding that the problems will persist. And that's okay. It's like putting leather all over the world. That's not going to happen. There's still going to be rocks and thorns around the world. But we can put leather on our feet and at the same time help others to put leather on their feet. But the persistence of the evils in our world, of the harms that are being done to others in our world, are there, and they're going to persist. And if we acknowledge that, it doesn't mean we're going to do less, but it helps us have realistic expectations and energy to keep going. One of the wisest souls that ever lived on planet Earth said, "The poor you will always have with you." That's what Jesus said in Matthew 26:11. I think we have to be careful of trying to rid the world of the harms that are being done, of the things that cause us to suffer and stay up at night, because probably most of the things that we can think about are always going to be there. We may make a huge difference, of course. We may make them a lot better, but they're going to be ongoing challenges. Let's say, for example, we care about the homeless in life. My parents were actively involved every weekend in bringing food, tents, sleeping bags to the homeless, because my parents knew how much people living on the streets of Arizona suffered. My parents knew people that had once been making it, and then events happened and they lost everything, and some of them ended up living on the streets. And my parents wanted to make a difference, and they did. For years, they gave their time, they gave their energy, they gave their money to make the homelessness in Arizona a little bit better. Did they have expectations that they could solve the homelessness problem in Arizona and in the world? Of course not. But it didn't keep them from every weekend going out to the rivers and helping these people and trying to make their lives a little better. I know a woman who's a very successful business owner, and she does exceptionally well. And you know what she does? She feels called to help women that have been sexually or physically assaulted. And what she does is she's been trained how to counsel them, and she's very good at it. And when she gets a call, she goes to the hospital and helps these women get better, to improve, to get over their incredible, horrible experience that they just went through. And she is making a difference. But again, does she expect that through her efforts, through her educating of women, that she can make it stop? Of course not. But she keeps going. She loves helping them. She loves making a difference. We can make a difference in our world, but we have to start with realizing that we're not going to necessarily stop that which we're worried about. So when we wake up in the middle of the night, worried about something in our world, the first thing we have to realize is we're probably not going to change that thing on a global basis in our world. But at the same time, we can make a huge impact on the people that we come in contact with. It's like wearing the sandals. We're not going to step all over the world and step on thorns and thistles and rocks, but our feet are going to step on them. And if we have sandals on, we're going to protect our feet. It's the same way here. We're not going to stop people that are addicted to drugs, but the people in our lives that may be potential threats to drug addiction, we can help. The ones that cross our path, we can get involved with, or we can volunteer where it makes a difference. If we care about global warming, we can actively be involved in making our part of the planet a little bit better. And these efforts that we make can make a huge difference in people's lives. When we educate people, when we help people that are struggling with world events, things that are impacting our entire world. No, we're not going to change the world, but we can change the world in which we live in, the small microcosm that we interact with. So when we wake up in the middle of the night, or when we read things on the internet that cause us distress, we can ask ourselves, what can I do? How can I make a difference in the world in which I live? And then go about making a difference. You may be thinking, well, this problem is so big, I'm not going to make any difference. What does it matter? I mean, if Martin Luther King couldn't stop the prejudice against people, what can I do? We can make a difference throughout our day. There's so many times where we can impact people's lives that are struggling, that are having a hard time. And we can help them. The people that the universe brings to our lives, we can make a difference in their lives. We have to do something. We have to be active. And we have to be careful not to get overwhelmed by the world's challenges. Our world is the world that we interact with throughout the day. Can we make a difference in our world? Can we help people to make their lives better? Or can we be careful just not to hurt people with our actions? We may be unaware that we are hurting people through our actions. And if we educate ourselves about what may I be doing that hurts others, then we can stop that behavior. And these differences, these small differences, can make huge impacts on people's lives. The second thing that I want us to be careful with is burnout. Because I think burnout, when we really are trying to make a difference in the world, is a consequence of making a difference. Because it's exhausting. In many ways, we don't make a difference. In many ways, the struggle goes on and on and on. But if we take care of ourselves, if we seek balance in our lives, yes, I'm going to make a difference. Yes, I'm going to work at the rescue mission every Saturday or one Saturday a month, then that's a good thing. Because on the other days, I'm going to make sure that I'm okay, that I'm taking care of my heart so that I can keep doing what I'm doing for the rest of my life. If we do self-care, then our ability to help others will be so much better because we can do it for so many years instead of just one time or a month and then get burnt out. Self-care is one of the key components of making a difference in the world. Self-care is about not trying to cover the world with leather, but making sure our feet are first covered with leather and then helping others to put shoes on their feet so that they're protected too. We can truly help others, but we have to make sure our hearts are okay too. I know sometimes the world can seem a very overwhelming place with so much pain in it. But if we take care of ourselves, and if we learn skills to help others, we can make a difference. We may not be the next Gandhi, but we can still make a difference in our world. And our difference can make the world a better place. And if we all work on doing this, our world can truly improve and keep improving until it gets better and better and better. Thank you for joining me on the Happiness Podcast. If you'd like to learn more about the podcast, please go to happinesspodcast.org. And until next time, accept what is, love what is.